Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you like early. What is
Well,
it, 10 a.m.? Thanks for moving it to 10 a.m. and not 9 a.m.
well, yeah. I have kids that are in the house, so we're up at 6 every morning,
Yeah.
whether I'm going to work or not, and that's just my routine. And by the time, like, I have my most of my energy in the morning, and because we're drinking coffee, and and by noon I'm kind of settled into what I'm doing and I'm focusing on and something. I just don't. I feel the most talkative and energetic, and by the time noon rolls around, I don't feel like fucking talking anymore. I don't. I just want to do stuff. I want to accomplish something, and then
You get your
and
talking done
then
before
and then
noon.
at the end of the day, all I want to do is eat and watch TV.
Yeah. That's good. No, it's not, routines are really important though. It was I found the whole process. Recording with you is like Monday. It was Monday, so that really structured my creative habits and making sure I had all my ducks in a row for you, so you could lay drum tracks, right?
Yeah, for a
So
regular musician, like when I was doing music full time, obviously I'd be up till all hours of the night, maybe
right.
through the next day. Yeah, it's definitely not musician hours.
Yeah, yeah. But it's different times now, right? It's like, you still there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's like different times now, and I mean, especially with the pandemic and all that, it's just this whole producing music at home is all of a sudden way more interesting and just you know more efficient than going out to a studio, and I think that's aided a lot of new talent and made it easier for people to discover you know bands and artists in general. So I like what it's done in that perspective. Same with social media now. It's like, what do you think about new artists and how important social media is? Because back in the day, as far as I'm concerned, it was like you could go out, play a club, play a show, and that's how you're going to get your following. And nowadays, it's like that hardly does anything. Everybody's on social now, and everybody's discovering music and artists through social, right?
Right. The whole industry is completely changed. It used to be a lot more selective. I think the cream rises to the top in the same way. Like, I don't know if you like Billie Eilish or maybe she's a bad example for you,
No,
but
no, her and her brother, like, you know, really, really a lot of talent there.
yeah. So she's a good example. She started on SoundCloud, right?
Yeah,
And um, and it just caught on. I mean, she is amazing. I heard her do. I listened to Howard Stern, and she went on there live, and she can do it live. I mean, she is amazing.
yeah,
The
yeah.
songwriting, the singing, and I think it's great that everyone is able to record at home now because you no longer need to have some kind of connection or luck or something to to get your music recorded, and you have kind of a better chance of I don't know if you really have a better chance or not. I think because there's a lot of people who record music and then don't follow through, and I find a lot that's I think that's the biggest problem for anyone is
Yeah,
they don't follow through, they don't stick to it. I think with anything,
yeah.
if as long as you stick to it and want it more than everybody else
It's
and never give
consistency.
up and you're consistent,
Yeah,
then you'll make it if you have what it takes
right,
in
right.
the first place.
Yeah,
But
if you believe it, but yeah,
yeah, it's
I
such a
truly, I
such a
truly
huge
believe in,
conversation.
I truly believe in that. The art of consistency and just like zero compromise there. To get home, I want to collaborate with, a bunch of different artists and do a bunch of different things that I really believe in, and just kind of shake the tree and see what falls out. But really believe in that tree you're gonna shake. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm at with you. Um, and just like a bat for the people that are just listening here, like it was really an interesting process because I knew that I wanted to make music again. And I had that really cool farmhouse, and I got my gear set up here, and I'm like, I'm gonna learn drums, I'm gonna do this all myself, blah blah blah. And it's like, I thought I could do it, and then I got busy, and I did about six tracks in maybe 3-4 months, and they were pretty good. And then I started shipping it around to my friends and having people kind of critique it and get their vibe on it. And they're like, dude, get a real drummer, get a real drummer. I'm like, who am I going to get, to understand what I want to do? And then one night I'm drinking some beers, talking to one of my best friends. We grew up together in Kingston. And we actually went to see you guys, Big Wreck, play at AJ's Hangar, and I was 18. I had a fake ID. We got like VIP passes from my buddy that I worked with at Canadian Tire. So we were like, I'm just like shaking at the door, thinking, "Oh man, is this ID gonna work?" And no problem, right in. We went up to the balcony, got 2 pitches of Rickard Red, and that was like my first Big Wreck experience.
Awesome.
So it was that guy. It was my best friend. He's like, "Dude, yeah, I think he followed you on Facebook or something." And he's like, "Dude, see what Forrest Williams is doing." And I'm like, no way, man! Like he's not drumming anymore. And then I kind of did some investigation and emailed you, and yeah. So and here we are, almost a year later from when I started the original project. We've got we did about 8 or 9 songs, but I picked six of the best that just kind of worked well together. So.
And that's a good example of what you did. Is a good example of how you make progress and you move forward. If you didn't try to do it on your own with the drums and then share those and get that done, you wouldn't have moved forward to the next step. You just gotta fucking do it.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so that's kind of in a nutshell what the whole Forestell. And by the way, the Forestell name and Forrest Williams, there's no relation. It was totally coincidental. I actually live on a road called Forestell Road, and then yeah. I don't know, maybe it's a little good omen, I don't know, but I'm glad everything worked out the way it did, and I'm pretty stoked to get these final tracks out into the world, and just kind of, it's just nice to create something and have it accessible for generations to come, I like that idea, and I think that's what musicians really, that's their duty, if you have a talent, it's like, use it, and share it, and just show other people that you can do it. And that makes a lot more people believe, and just brings out what the universe, wants, I think.
Exactly. So. How did you start playing music? What's your history?
I started, my parents forced me to church, and they wanted me to play piano.
Oh,
I took
cool.
lessons from a lady at the village church.
Oh, awesome.
And it was okay, but it was like, it wasn't something that I wanted to do. But I learned a lot. I learned a great deal from that, because I never had the patience or the ability to read notes, so I would just play by ear. So once I got started with that, and then I turned 13, Nirvana came along, like all these great grunge bands, and I was like, oh yeah. And I had a buddy that was a couple years older than me. He could play guitar, and I was just like, that's it. That's where I gotta go. That's my path. So I just picked up the guitar and never looked back. I was writing songs at a very young age, and just kind of teaching myself. Mm-hmm. Just picking.
So no formal lessons.
What sounded cool. Yeah, I took lessons for a couple years from a guy in Kingston. Cool. It was just all kind of like blues orientated pentatonic scales, that sort of thing. It's like Jimi Hendrix, I think Purple Haze, or what was it? Hey Joe. Hey Joe was the first song I think I learned.
Yeah, that's a good way to learn how to play have somebody kind of walk you through how to play a song. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it had that progressive scale, the dun 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 dun. So it was kind of taught me my way around the guitar. So, well, that's how I got into it, and then everything else is just kind of acquired through jamming with bands. So I can keep a beat, but then I started taking drum lessons almost a year ago, and just so I could have better understanding. That's awesome. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's like I took those lessons so that I could at least, craft something, put some scratch tracks together to give people like you an idea of where my brain's at, where I'm vibing with a song, so you can take it, and then someone with many years of experience and actually knows what they're doing, and really make it shine. So that's what I learned through this whole project, I think, and I think that's really important for a lot of people to understand. It's just like, you don't need to do everything yourself. You need to have a good idea of what you want and be able to paint a picture, but it's when you collaborate, and it's just way better. You get different energies, interacting with each other. The creativity, there's better chance for crazier creativity. So, but doing it all yourself is really hard. It was a lot of work, man. Trying to mix this, record this all myself. Like, thank God I had you to do the drums, but it was a beating. I really hope that I can find somebody else to at least do a proper mix for me. Just find that magic, someone who can understand it. Like, it's like when Slash was putting together Velvet Revolver. Like, they went around to so many different producers, and before they found the right one, it was actually, I forget the guy's name who did the Stone Temple Pilots album, Tiny Pictures, but they got him, I think, to produce Velvet Revolver's first album. But it's just finding that person that can kind of, any musician in that regard, just finding that right chemistry and making something special.
Yeah, you and just doing your own mixes, and you do a great job mixing too. You're doing really well.
It's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better, and that's just that's a part of the process, and you're just moving forward, and then, maybe you'll get, maybe you take one of them and get it mixed, and, or not. It doesn't, who knows what the next step is. That's
just it. And we're in a day and age now where content is very important. It's like, you look for chances to create content anywhere, and if more kids can understand how to record and how to produce and mix, we're going to get faster and faster at it.
That's interesting, because and it also goes back to my thought. I was reading the New York Times yesterday, and then they did this article on a musician. And he's been putting out his own stuff since he was 18. And his first album is just him, 18 years old, at home with his computer. And it kind of, it's not professional at all, but he put it out. And then he put out an album like almost every year for the last 10 years.
Right.
And he's moved on. He's starting to work with other people. Now he's working with Frank Ocean, and he's got he's starting to go to recording studios, and it just evolved.
Yeah,
And I love that, because, it's similar to what you're doing. You just gotta do it, put it out, and then next year you'll have something that's a year later, and you just progress and just kind of put it out. I think one of the biggest issues for people is that they get it halfway done, or they get it done and they're not happy enough. They're like, it's not good enough to put out. I'm not putting it out because it's not good enough. I say, fuck that. Put it out.
Yeah.
Put it out. That's where you are right now, and then just move forward, and then put out what you got later, because it's never gonna be perfect. I mean, when I was in the recording studio with Big Rec, Ian is so critical of himself. We were all very critical of ourselves, and we never thought that any recording we did was exceptional. We always thought we could do better. We always thought we could go into a better recording studio, or use better mics, or do a better performance, or whatever. You're never, as an artist, ever completely happy or satisfied. But you just gotta fucking move on, or else you're never gonna get anything done. You're never gonna get anywhere. I've had people I've worked with that we've spent months on one song, and it goes nowhere. They've never released it. They never did anything with it. I'm like, it's such a shame.
Yeah, I totally hear that, man. There's that. I've always. It's nice you point that out, because it's like that mental monster that's just there.
Yep.
And nobody quite knows what it is or why it's happening, but
everything I do, I'm like, even right now, the things I'm saying, I'll listen back to this podcast a year later and be like, oh man, what was I talking about? But you know what?
Yeah.
Oh well, what am I gonna do? Not do the podcast?
Yeah.
So
that's good, man. The last thing I want to talk about is what people want to see in an artist. You know, it's like I've seen a lot of artists like new and upcoming that are like, hey, listen to my song, my new single's being released, blah blah blah. It's like there's only so much of that you can really do. It's like stop fucking touting your own shit. It's like, who are you? I want to see what you're about, the way you think, you know, what you wear, what you eat for breakfast. Like that's the stuff that people are gonna latch onto, and it's more of a real thing now too. It's like, oh, you know, artists trying to be like these glam rockers with the hair and the cool outfits. It's like, no, man. It's like people want realness. It's like they want to see you in a just your regular T-shirt that you wear every day, your hat, and just be real. And I think I've seen way more success with that mentality behind artists.
See,
Now
that's what
and
I'm doing.
and social
That's what I'm
media.
doing right now. It did go through. I'm wearing a T-shirt. It's a Ralph Lauren, so it's got a little polo horse on it, which is so not rock and roll. But it happens to be one of my
Yeah.
favorite T-shirts, so fuck
There you
it.
go. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's important for people to know too. It's just be real, be yourself, and you're gonna get the fans that you want.
I agree.
All right, man.
Great talking to you, man. And
Yeah,
I'll
you
talk
too.
to
Thanks so
soon.
much. That went really good.
All right, Jeff.